Hey
Hello,
y'all.
everyone.
Welcome to Book Witches with a B.
Welcome to the premiere of our new special series, the
We're doing
Duologies.
special things. Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to Book Witches with a B, the Duologies.
Ooh.
I'm Orja,
And I'm Colleen.
and in this special series of ours with Book Witches with a B, what we're going to be doing is releasing basically two-part segments or series where we talk about a book. We do a little bit of a deep dive, no spoiler deep dive like normal. And then we also get to interview the author of said book. Yeah, so
We're excited.
we are going to be talking about Girls Who Burn by M.K. Pagano. And later on this week, you will also be able to hear our interview with M.K. Pagano herself, who was absolutely lovely.
Wonderful. Here's the book cover. Yeah, it's a
Yes,
beautiful cover. You should
it is
definitely look it up if you can't see it well here.
gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And so a little bit about Girls Who Burn. It is a young adult mystery thriller set in a fictional small town, Beers End, in New Jersey. And it's got this very fun, like small town, coastal, class divide, all of this stuff going on. And it is a young adult book, which is new for us on this podcast. So we had a lot of fun reading it. Okay, let's do a very quick recap of the book. Again, this episode is going to be no spoilers because you should read the book. So we're not going to tell you what
Yes.
happens. All right, Girls Who Burn. Book recap. Oh, oh.
Woo!
18-year-old Addie Blackwood regrets nothing more than one horrible, mistake-filled night last summer. Hours after she hurled the worst words she could think of at her sister Fiona, she was found dead at the bottom of a ravine. The police ruled her death an accident, but Addie's never bought it. Her ballet prodigy sister didn't slip and fall, she was pushed. But when Addie's number one suspect is found dead in the same ravine a year later, she's forced to admit she was wrong. And now her only ally and alibi in catching the real killer is none other than her childhood rival, Seth Montgomery, the boy she's always loved to hate. As Addie and Seth dodge corrupt police and his even more corrupt family, their investigation pulls them closer than ever before. But as they approach the explosive and murderous truth, their growing bond may not be enough to keep Addie safe. In fact, it may turn her into the next victim. Dun dun dun!
Ooh.
So, what we're going to do next is to give you a list of characters and talk a little bit about them. Since we're not doing,
There were a lot of
in
characters.
depth, there were a lot of characters.
We started listing them and I was like, oh, there's so many more than I remember there
There's so
being, which
many.
is good. They were well done, but I was like, oh wow.
It's a good murder mystery cast, honestly.
It is. It's a list of characters and also potential murder suspects.
Yes, yes, because this is a murder mystery.
It is a murder mystery. So the first character is Miss Addie. So she is
Oh,
the main
oh.
character, main female lead. We like Addie. I got frustrated with her at times, but I like Addie.
Yes, yeah. She is a very single-minded, determined young woman who is, she's I think she turns 18 over the course of the book.
I think so. She's supposed to be like
Or
a senior in high school, I think.
yeah, she's a senior in high
Like
school,
senior
so
of high
she's
school into the summer.
yeah, so she's going through a lot. Her sister has died, so she's going through a lot. She's extremely um tunnel visioned and she needs to find out who killed her sister. And because of that, she can be a little frustrating at times, but I think that the way she's written is so beautiful. It's so teenage girl who has gone through trauma in high school, you know?
It is very teenage girl, which is written incredibly well. MK did an incredible job at that. But as a grown person, knowing that you did these things, you just want to be like, no, some of these things, not all of these things. But you're looking at her doing them and you're like, no,
Yeah.
wait, don't do
There's a
that.
better
We're
way.
saving you. Dump the bad boyfriend, please.
Please. Oh
We're
God.
begging you. He's not as cool as you think. He'll
He
figure it out.
sucks.
It's stuff like that. Like I do like very determined women and very like I know I'm right women. I do think sometimes there is a limit to that, and I think
Hmm.
she because she's a teenage girl
Yeah,
pushes that to a degree.
absolutely.
But yeah, yeah, she's great. We love her. Okay, the next one is
Oh,
love
I love
Seth.
Seth. I love him. He is
I
he's great. He is Addie's childhood rival. As I'm reading it, as we're reading it, you get very quickly that it's that fine line between love and hate between them, their entire relationship.
yeah.
He is
I actually forgot that they were supposed to hate each other, to be
well,
honest.
because the tension is so good. It's so immediately
It's
there.
so there immediately. Yes.
Um, Seth is one of the Montgomery kids. The Montgomerys are a very wealthy family. The town Beers End is named after their grandmother. Their grandmother's last name?
Yes. It's a maternal
Yes.
lineage, but I don't remember if it's like grandmother, great grandma. It's his like
It's a maternal
maternal, not
lineage.
paternal
Yeah.
lineage. Yes. Yeah.
And
He's got the rich kid. He's a fifth generation
he's
socialite, I
super
think.
rich. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Super duper rich. And he is also a murder suspect, also romantic potential in this book, which is amazing.
I I like a I don't like a murderer. But if there's a romance plot in a murder book and they happen to be not against it
I mean, for those who have listened to our podcast, we like morally gray characters. In fantasy,
immensely.
in fantasy, the love interest is very regularly actually a murderer. So, they murder for the right
Correct.
reasons. But yes.
Correct. Yes. I've read some
Mhm.
dark romance stuff too. We have not covered it on here, but I've read some stuff where I'm like, I shouldn't like this as much as I do. In real life I would not. In
Yes.
fantasy, because regardless, fantasy
Yeah,
world,
it's fantasy.
not sin.
So
Yeah.
we don't know if Seth is a murderer or not, but we do know that he is a little cutie and we love him.
We do love him. There were times where I did not like him as much. He's a little stalkery. I think he's so obsessed with Addie that he kind of like follows her around. But which some of this is also why he's definitely, we'll get more into suspects, but like
Hmm.
a bigger suspect, I think, in the book is he just appears.
He does.
Like she'll be like, "Oh, I need someone." He's there every time,
Hmm.
which is cute. But also, what are you
Also,
doing, Seth?
she goes running in the woods alone a lot too, and he's also always there, which is a
She
little creepy.
It is suspect. She does also literally run, I think, on his property. So that
Yes.
probably,
Yeah.
but it is weird. He disappears consistently.
Yeah. I
So
think
anyway,
important
we'll
to
get into
note
suspects
he
later.
is what, a year, 2 years older than her?
Yes, I think he's already in college, so he's a
Yeah.
little bit older
Hmm.
than she is. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, so he is a little older. In theory, more responsible. Not really,
He's
but
a
in theory,
boy. Anyways,
he's a boy in college, so they're not more
they're
responsible.
not, no.
Okay, the next one I have on the list is the other love interest. I would say is
Hmm.
Jeremy.
Ah,
You
Jeremy.
can't tell our feelings about Jeremy by that. Uh,
Jeremy is what is he? The all-star football kid?
he's like the all American, which just is not my tends to be preference in any context. Really, he's
Hmm.
supposed to be like he was the lead in the "You Belong with Me" music video with Taylor Swift.
Yes, that
That
is
is supposed to be
Jeremy.
Jeremy.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah,
And he is an ex-boyfriend of Addie's. He's
yes.
also one of her oldest friends outside of the Montgomerys. The Montgomerys summer in Beers End, right?
Hmm.
Jeremy
Yes,
lives
yeah.
in Beers End. He's a townie just like Addie. So, yeah.
Yes, it's very the relationship is just odd to me, not in a bad way. I actually don't mind Jeremy. Jeremy is my mixed feelings character, if that makes sense. I don't
Hmm.
dislike him, don't particularly like him.
I think in the big picture, he's got potential to he has the potential to not he has the potential to grow out of his immature-ness that he has. Unless
Yes,
he's the murderer, then he doesn't have the potential.
correct. Correct. I think the thing with a lot of these characters that I find interesting, even if they are or not, is like most of the suspects, outside of a few, are teenagers.
Hmm.
And the like reasons for murder are very interesting most of the time
Yeah.
because it's nothing like crazy major necessarily, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. It would definitely be like a petty, like it would be like almost not a petty reason. I think in their teenage mind, it is not a petty reason,
Hmm.
but in the grand scheme of like ending someone's, I think like
Yeah.
honestly, really any reason ending someone's life is usually relatively petty. Sadly, I
Yeah.
think in reality, but
Maybe like a
yes, yeah,
crime
unless
of
Jeremy is a
passion,
murderer.
unless Jeremy's a murderer, yeah. Um, and which I think then brings us, we should talk about Jen if we're talking about
Yes, we
Jeremy.
can talk about Jen next. Oh, Jen.
Jen is the other friend in like the trio of childhood friends for Addie. She
Yeah.
They have a big falling out when Addie and Jeremy start dating because Jen was like, "You're messing everything up." And she holds a lot of resentment towards Addie for basically like breaking up the friendship. Her motivations are not pure, I will say.
They're not, you learn about them later. I was not surprised by the motivation. I was kind of
No.
surprised at how it put Jeremy in a very different light for
Hmm.
me, kind of, but at the same time, not really. Like, he tried. Anywho, it's just complicated, but
It's complicated.
I
Um,
think yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
feel like Jen felt like Addie had could go places, if that makes sense. Addie was driven. Addie wanted to go and do and all of these things. I don't think Jen wanted to. Jen wanted to stay
She wanted
in
to
Beaver's
stay in
End. She was
town,
very
marry the Jeremy type, have kids. That was her, that like have that life.
yes, and I think that's also what Jeremy wants. That's really not what Addie wants, I don't
Mm-mm.
think. And so I think Jen was seeing that and was like, I know I'm bringing up people along with me a lot, but it is really good. Like this book is kind of that if it was a murder mystery, but she's like, you belong with me. Like I'm the one that's going to stay here. I'm the
Yeah.
one that's motivated. You should be fine.
Speaking of Taylor Swift, I think describing Addie and Jeremy's relationship is very Midnight Rain. He was sunshine, I was
It
midnight
is
rain.
very Midnight Rain.
Right?
It is. Oh, I love that actually. We make a lot of Taylor Swift references, but that is that's a great one.
Thank you. So yeah, Jen has she's also a suspect. She does have, I think if she's
Mhm.
the killer, that would be extremely petty, but she does have
Yes.
motivation.
I think a lot of and I think it's like petty because I think it's like a moment of rage, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. I think most of these, when you look at the like motivations, it's like they had this like blinding, raging something, and they were maybe trying to kill Addie. That's a really common one, is they thought Fiona was Addie, and it
Yeah,
turned out to be Fiona. So it
Fiona.
just
Yeah.
so good. Yes,
Which let's talk about Fiona, shall we?
Fiona. Yes, so
So
Fiona is dead.
go ahead. Yeah, she's dead.
She's dead from the start. Like
She's
we don't
dead.
ever see her alive.
And we like she like haunts the book. She's haunting the entire story. She is the older sister by not by like a year of Addie. So they were very close in
Yeah, not by
age.
much.
They're
Hmm.
supposed to be best friends and all of that. Fiona was a ballerina and she was going places. She was very driven. She wanted to get out of Beer's End and go to ballet school and become a ballerina and have that big life. Important to note, the Blackwood family matriarch, the mom, either is dead or disappeared when they were all very young. We don't
We don't really know.
Yeah,
She's
we
just
do
gone.
find out at the end which one it is, but we're not telling you because you got to read the book.
Correct.
But so basically we Fiona becomes the mother character for this family, even though Addie is barely younger than her, and they have little Davy, who we'll talk about in a minute. But Fiona was going places, and then she died, and her death was ruled an accident. And this is why Addie is like, nope, someone killed her.
I think that's, which we can get into a little bit later to a degree, but I think that's like the main driving part for Addie to figure all of this out for Fiona is that she was a bright light going somewhere and she wouldn't snuff herself out.
Mm-mm.
Like it wasn't just a trip. Like she was well footed. She was a ballerina. She's not
She was a
tripping.
ballerina, yeah.
Like something this bright and prevalent and full of life didn't just fizzle out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. Fiona's character is wild because we are introduced to her. Again, she's dead already, and we're introduced to her
Mm-hmm.
as this like wonderful, incredible person, tragic accident sort of thing. And she just continues to haunt all of the people in Beer's End and find out a lot of things about her. And it's very interesting.
She is more complex of a character than she seems upon first glance, essentially,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Which I
So,
really want to talk about what you just said. We can do that in like the deep dive area because I think it's
mhm,
so cool the way that it was
I
written.
agree.
Okay.
I agree. So, the
Thatcher.
next one we're going to talk about is Thatcher. Well, Thatcher. Actually, when we were prepping for this, I was like, it's a brother cousin, which sounds very like southern of me, but he's Pet's cousin, but he views him like a brother and is another character that we haven't gotten to yet's brother. So
Yeah.
in my mind, he's brother cousin. Uh,
I
but
agree.
they're
I
not
agree.
actually intermarried, that would imply. Uh, so, Thatcher, bless him, he dies quickly.
Immediately. So,
It's like the first, it's literally like the first two chapters, I think, or the first chapter, something along those lines.
yeah. So
Yeah,
he is like, we get that he was maybe in a relationship gone bad with Fiona before she died. And so he is Addie's number one suspect. Number
which
one.
is fair. Yeah. No, I mean, it's usually the ex-boyfriend.
It
That's
is,
not, no,
yeah.
we haven't covered this part, but since we are a podcast, I think it's interesting to bring up. So Addie is like reaching out to like murder mystery podcast and like Reddit murder,
Hmm.
it's not even murder mystery, like murder podcast, true crime podcast, and like Reddit forums and being like, you have to cover my sister's story. It's definitely this rich guy. It would be so interesting. And like, no one bit. Everyone's like,
Yeah,
no, we're not doing that. But yeah, she is obsessed with him.
she is obsessed. And so this book opens a year after Fiona's death, and
Yes.
immediately Thatcher also dies on the same cliffs in a similar way.
Well, Addie and Seth are kind of doing the same things that they were doing the night of Fiona's.
Kind of.
Slightly
Yep.
different. They're in the same spot,
Yeah.
which is great storytelling. But it's very interesting. It has a lot of parallels.
Yep. Let's get to
Yeah. There's
the
not a lot with Thatcher, but
no, there's not a lot. Let's get to the corrupt police in this small town, shall we?
ugh, I made the joke to say that we shouldn't name them, but I guess we should. So they're Detective Carter and Detective Ramsey. I think we're talking about them both.
Hmm.
One is better than the other one. They both still kind
Yes.
of suck at their job.
They're both completely incompetent. Well, no. Detective, one of them is completely incompetent. The other one is just like actually the worst person on earth. So,
Correct. Yes. One is, I mean, they're both incompetent in different ways, I think, but one is like unintentionally incompetent, and the other one is
yeah,
definitely
it's
intentionally.
intentional. Yeah. They're just kind of like your stereotypical bumbling cops in any detective book where they're like, no, it was an accident. No, we don't want to do the paperwork. And then the other one is like, oh, why are you still asking questions? Was it you? And Addie's like, it was my sister's dead. Why am I still asking questions?
They were obsessed. This is the one thing that I and it shows their incompetence, and that was the point. But they were obsessed with the fact that Fiona had Addie's hair on her clothing, and I'm
Oh my
like, they
God, yeah.
lived together. Like Oorja and I don't live together, and I'm fairly certain that I
I
have
have her
some
hair
of
on my
Oorja's hair on my
clothing.
clothes.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, like I'm like, if you hang out with anyone, especially
Yeah,
long-haired people,
their
you're
hair
gonna
will
have
be
their hair.
everywhere. The Yeah, like that's like their one like, oh, what's the term I'm looking
Smoking
for?
gun.
Yes, thank you. Their smoking gun is that Addie had Fiona's hair on her sweater the night that Fiona died. So they're like, well, if it wasn't
They
an
probably
accident,
had.
well, did you kill her? Miss, I have my sister's hair on my clothes.
It was just I tried taking notes for this book, and it turned out the only notes that because I knew we were doing it for the podcast. The only thing I took was mostly me being really mad at the detectives for how bad they were doing their job. Like that was all I had, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's not helpful."
Yeah. And I think that this plays in really well. Like, again, in the deep dive, we can get into like the idea of a small town being a safe place and how like the police force kind of really plays into that and upholds it, which is why some small towns.
Yeah, don't even get me
Yep.
started.
Um, all right. Let's see. Talk about the dad. Basically never there.
It is definitely like single dad who clearly works a lot of hours and
Yeah.
is like doing his best, but like not the most successfully.
Yeah. I will
And
say to give this man just a little bit of grace, his wife is either dead or just left him.
mhm.
Um,
And his daughter was
which
murdered.
his daughter was murdered, yeah. Which and I
Yeah.
also don't think we talked the mom is not on this, but not only is the mom either dead or just gone, she also apparently slept around town a lot. So the dad's dealing with a lot.
I think he definitely, in a very like stereotypical male single father fashion, is ignore and it goes away. If you
Hmm.
just keep working and it'll go away,
It'll go away.
kind of thing. It's always coping
Hmm.
with all of it. And I do think he tries, just not in the ways that I think maybe he should
Yeah.
at times.
All we really
Yeah.
get about the dad in this book is like, don't go running alone. And Addie's like, yeah, yeah, sure, whatever. And then she goes running alone. Like, the dad
Yeah.
isn't really a real character. He's not super duper fleshed out.
No, he's kind of there as like a parental guide, and then there's like one part of it where he definitely is kind of a pivotal point for Addie,
Yeah.
that we won't get into. But that was kind of heartbreaking. That
Hmm.
section was he kind of came into
Yeah.
play there. But
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about Davy following the
oh, Davy,
Oh, Davy.
yes, yeah.
Davy's
So that would be her brother. He is such a 15-year-old boy.
he is such a 15-year-old boy.
I have so my siblings are significantly younger than me. There are one's 9 years and one's 10 years. So I'm not too far removed from 15-year-old boyhood. It's the worst. 15-year-old boys are the absolute worst. If you're a young woman, since this is a YA novel and you're listening, and they're 15, don't even try.
Yeah,
They will get better from 15. I will state,
they
not
will.
much, but they will get better.
It's incremental, but yeah. He he's definitely like he's sad about Fiona. He's sad about stuff, but he's also mostly just obsessed with his girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, Marion. And he also disappears a lot.
Yeah. He is I think the part that like was very 15 like she captured 15-year-old boy for me incredibly well
So
in terms
well.
of like yeah, my sister's dead, but like I had to break up with my girlfriend. That's what sucks.
Yeah, that is Davy's entire motivation.
He is obsessed, but she seems wonderful. I get it. But he is like he's not having it. He's not, he's like, she's dead, whatever. It's been a year, get over it. Like,
Yeah.
I need my girlfriend back.
I
Obsessively
know.
want my girlfriend back.
Obsessively. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's such a 15-year-old boy. And which brings us to Marion, his girlfriend. Marion is okay, she's Thatcher's youngest sister.
She is Thatcher, and then we haven't covered Kindle yet, but
Yeah.
Thatcher, it's she's a Montgomery,
Hmm.
and she's not, I think Seth is an only child. So it's Seth and then his cousins, which is
Yep.
Thatcher, Kindle, and Marion.
Hmm. And again, not a whole lot about her. Um,
Mm-mm.
she did break up with Davy, but we get the idea that it wasn't her idea because they do get back together. Like it's very like their side story is it's so like I'm just a teenager and I'm completely clueless about everything else that's happening in the world. Like they're just they're only focused on each other.
They're two very sheltered, probably slightly spoiled teenagers, I would say, in
Yeah.
different ways,
Yeah.
that are very much like, this is this is my whole world. And you're like, there's more here than what you're focusing on. They're like, no, no, it's not.
Yeah. And like technically they're on the suspect list as well. Um
They are. They are. Yeah.
and they have some really really convincing there's some convincing logic behind it, which we won't get into right now.
Yes. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And then we've got Kendall, the middle sister.
Was she younger? She was younger than Thatcher, right? Or was she
Yes.
older?
I don't
I
remember.
can't remember now. She was older than Addie and Seth. I know that,
Yes.
but I don't know where. I think she was older than
I think
Thatcher
she was the
because I
oldest.
think
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but
No,
well,
you're
maybe
right.
she was.
Were they twins?
I think she was. Oh, maybe because I think she was Fiona's age, is what I'm thinking. Because her and Fiona were
She was
friends, so
Fiona's
they're
age.
around a year or two around Fiona's age. I don't know if they were
Hmm.
exact or not. That stuff like that does not stick in my head.
Mine
It
neither.
just was not.
So,
Kindle was interesting. I
yes.
liked Kindle, actually. She was
Sh
fun.
she's like kind of a cool girl, you know?
She's like cool mean. She
Yeah,
is the Blair Waldorf of the book.
she is. She's the Blair
Yeah.
Waldorf. She is your typical rich kid. She does, she is on, oh, I think one thing which Blair Waldorf is not, Kendall is on like the socials and like trying to be like an influencer and stuff like that.
Maybe she's more like Serena. Maybe Serena's a better.
Maybe a little more like
She's like a
Serena.
put together Serena.
Yeah. She's
Maybe.
like if
It's a better way to put it.
Serena grew up in the Waldorf household.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did try to be an influencer. She was not the most successful, which is surprising for a socialite, to
Yeah.
be honest. It's not hard to
It's
be
not that hard.
successful on the internet if you're rich and pretty, which she was.
Yeah. Um,
Um,
we don't get a whole lot about her either, honestly. We basically she was more Fiona's friend. She never really took time to like include Addie when they were hanging out.
she just
Um,
kind of pops up on
yeah,
occasion.
she does, but she
Yeah.
also does when like it comes down to it, Addie is investigating, Seth's helping her, Kendall also helps, like
I mean, it was her brother and her, in theory, somewhat best friend that died. She's got some
yeah,
motivation
she has
to
some
look into
motivation.
it, but I think she's more focused on her future and looking forward than
Yeah.
where she summers. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because that is what it is.
However, because she is a Montgomery, she is also on the suspect list.
She is. All the Montgomerys are, just because
All the
that's that
Montgomerys.
they Fiona died on the Montgomery land. Also,
Yes,
like
yes. The
this
cliffs that she
gulch
fell
thing is
off
like
of.
behind their land.
Yeah. So which brings us to the Montgomerys, the family in question, their mansion on Beers End. They are the haves. The
Hmm.
rest of Beers End is the have-nots. Um,
Yes, they are.
they
Correct.
are.
They're the one rich family in the small coastal town.
Yep, Seth's father seems like a nightmare. The Kendall Thatcher and Marion's father also seems like a nightmare. They
They're very much like
have,
rich absentee parents.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We don't get a whole lot about them. They do have, I don't,
Yeah.
is it a law office in New York City? Are they,
Um, it's like a business. I think they're like financial moguls is kind of the vibe I'm
there we
getting.
go. That's
Like you don't
probably,
really know what they do,
yeah,
but
it's
like
never like
clearly they do it.
specified. They have like a really nice office in Manhattan, which we do go to, which is very good. Like people in New Jersey, like just get on the, New Jersey Transit to New York City. It's a thing. So
We did that.
we did because I lived in New Jersey. Remember that?
She did live in Jersey, and I did that. I rode a train for the first time because I'm from a place that we don't have trains. We do have trains, but it's like cargo trains. I actually grew up around a lot of trains, but they weren't like passenger
Yeah.
trains. So, yeah,
So like while we have Fiona haunting the whole story, we also kind of have the Montgomerys are kind of they don't haunt, but they're like the malevolent. Their presence is known.
they are known. There was what was the book? The other book that we did for book club. I would say that family compares, and I can't think of it right now. Midnight Feast.
Oh
I can't
yeah.
think of the author. That's very much a similar. Like, there's one rich. It's like I think it's a Kennedy thing, but like the
Hmm.
Kennedys that had their. It's like that level of like maybe not politically, but like they're
Wealth.
the Kennedys were rich before they were politically powerful.
Yeah.
It's kind of in that realm that kind
Yeah.
of like permeates this town. They are the economy of the town, I think.
Correct. They are. Yep.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so that sets the stage. Those are our characters. Shall we get to the section superlatives? Book superlatives.
It is book superlatives. We're used to doing these in sections. Book superlatives.
Woo!
I can actually
All
fix it.
right. Who do we think is the drama queen of the book? We can't say
So we
Addie
can't
because
say
I
who it
want
is.
to. Oh, the
Oh, well,
murderer.
so
The
in
murderer is
theory,
absolutely the drama queen of the book.
it's definitely the murderer, and we can't get into why. But I feel like we should have the murderer and then someone else because
Yeah.
it's definitely the murderer. Like when you figure it out, you're like,
Yeah, the
oh
murderer is such a drama
my
queen.
gosh.
My goodness.
Which is why I mentioned the like kind of petty thing element because like the murder is kind of almost petty. It's really
Hmm.
interesting. So we won't spoil, like we said.
Yeah.
But okay, so outside of the murderer, I don't think it's Addie. I never thought she was being a drama queen. I think
No.
she is a dramatic personality, but that doesn't mean that her life didn't. I can't think of the right word. Like her life
She
was
was,
dramatic.
yeah, she was reacting, I think, appropriately as a teenage girl would in that situation.
Correct.
Yeah. I
Oh,
have
drama queen.
two ideas for drama queen.
Okay.
Um, I'm gonna say Jen.
She is 100%. She had a meltdown over not a lot. I also do think her home life is a little rough because her mom seems awful, but
Yes, her mom
she
does
is
seem awful.
way over the top. Yeah.
Way over the top. And then the other one I was gonna say is Davy. I mean, I know that we said Addie's not a drama queen, but Davy with his like, I just want to see Marion.
Davy thinks he is Romeo in Romeo and Juliet.
Yes, he
That's what
does.
he thinks. Like he is like he would 100% stand outside her window and like call upon Marion. He probably
Yes,
has. I'm sure he has.
I'm sure he has.
Fine, Jeremy.
Yeah, that boy.
There's a lot of things about him that like it's not necessarily unwarranted, but kind of because
A
like
little.
he's just he very much is the like all American bulldoze through. Like he is brawn of a brain kind of person, which is not a negative. I think you need that person in your life. Not in a murder mystery. That
No,
is less helpful
very
when you're
much
trying
so.
to solve a murder. Yeah,
I
so that
agree.
would be mine.
I like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Craziest thing to happen
Outside of murder.
outside of murder, outside of solving the mystery. Um, ooh, I have one. It's kind of cute. It's kind of cute. Craziest thing to happen.
Okay.
So we're no spoilers in terms of no spoiling the ending. Addie and Seth, you know, they they do sleep with each other in this book. I think it
Yeah.
was so crazy to learn that he comes off as this like playboy rich boy. He can have any girl he wants. He was also a virgin. Like they were both each
Oh,
other's
yeah,
firsts,
that's true. Which
which
is
I thought
surprising,
was it's
actually, for him.
surprising and it's so cute, but yeah, very surprising. I was like, "What? Really?"
That is fair. I was less surprised only because of their age, because they were
That's fair.
younger.
He was in college though.
Um, that is true. That's fair. Yeah. I think. What was the craziest thing to happen? Honestly, for me, it was the murders, but I'm trying to think of one outside of that. Um, and maybe not craziest, but it's similarly related. The thing I got the most excited about, and I was like, oh my gosh, we have a great love for the one bed trope on this podcast.
Yes!
And they take a trip, they take a little detour to go find a character when they're trying to figure out. It's very like Scooby Doo of them. They're like, we
It
know this
is.
person, they might have info. Let's take a road trip.
Yeah.
Um, and the car ends up breaking down, which was kind of crazy. That whole plot point, I was like, what is happening? You're going to die. And
Yeah.
then they stay in this little. Actually, well, I didn't think she was gonna. I had some thoughts on that. We'll get to there when we get into suspects. But and then they were like, "There's only one bed," and I'm like, "There's only one bed." I got very
Was
excited.
not expecting the one bed trope in this book.
I was not either. I was so excited it's there. It just appears. It is truly in everything, and I love
It
it.
truly does just appear. Um, oh, there is one other thing. So this is getting into kind of like the specifics when they're doing like the murder, like they're investigating the murder. Um, there is an old treehouse that's rotting that's in the woods. And this was so crazy for me. She finds Fiona's phone
Oh, her phone just
in the
chilling in
woods
this treehouse that she falls out of.
that she falls out of very like, ugh. Yeah, like God, that
I was like,
sounded
oh, she's
awful.
dead.
Yeah,
It sounded very painful.
yeah.
Yeah,
That was a pretty crazy event though in the story.
it was. I actually forgot about that.
Yeah.
I think I blocked it out because the falling out of a
The
treehouse does terrify
falling,
me. I'm
I
not
think
necessarily
it
afraid of
was the
heights,
falling
but
that was more crazy for me than the phone.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because I was like, oh, this is how you die. This is your accidental death. Yeah,
Correct.
this is it.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right. Are you ready to go into the deep dive?
we die.
Deep dive.
We're ready.
Okay, we're ready. Um, so since this is a whole book, we have some fun segments that are going to help us talk about, dive deep into this. Segment number one, nothing says romance like murder.
Correct.
Um,
If you can't tell, we really love titles. Like the whole duology thing, I was so excited when we talked about that.
that
Like
was
segment titles,
awesome.
we love a title.
We love a title.
We get very excited.
Nothing says romance like murder. Okay, two questions for you. How realistic was the romance within the context of murder mystery? And then, how did we feel about the romance just in general compared to like all other romance that we've read?
Um, I would think in terms of murder mystery, because they were like 17, 18, made complete sense. Like
Hmm.
the way that everything happened is very much like how 17, 18-year-olds go about life and date to me.
Yeah.
So it did seem realistic. Because I think like as an adult, don't know if it would have gone like more adult would have gone in the same route. But I think for like
Hmm.
a YA romance, perfect. In terms of what was the other? question? I was focused
Just
on the YA.
romance in general compared to like other things that you've read.
Oh, it was a cute romance, which I think is maybe where the teenagey thing come in. Like there wasn't any
Hmm.
like nothing about it was suave. Nothing about it was like we're very used to like very suave, like dark tattooed characters, especially on this
Yeah.
podcast or whatever. Not that is not that. He is bumbling his way through this.
He's a little bit of a golden retriever, but it really works for him because he's also intelligent.
He's smart. Yes, he's very
Yeah.
much like it's very much a he fell first, she fell second kind of situation. Like he's been obsessed with her from the beginning. She not having it,
She did not
has not been
realize it.
having it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was definitely
Oh
one of
man.
those where he just keeps appearing because he's obsessed.
Yeah.
Or a murderer.
Or a murderer.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. I will say that there was a point in the book where I was like, "Oh no. Oh no." Like, ooh,
He he is my number one suspect. He really
yeah.
is. So yeah. It's complicated because I love him and I love him with
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Also, like, what's a better cover than being like, I'm dating the sister of the murderer. You're getting close to the murder. You're getting close to the investigation. It's yeah, he's my number one suspect.
Very smart.
We're not there
Um,
yet, but he is.
I think like to your point of like this being teenagers, I think the romance within the context of murder mysteries super realistic. Um,
Yeah.
the name of the book, Girls Who Burn, we talk about this with MK too, where it's like nothing, there's no fire in the book. The fire is like the absolute passions of that drive all of these girls who are growing up and learning things about life and all of that stuff. And like when you're a teenager, everything is life or death,
Oh
and
yeah.
that very much plays into like this tension that builds and it can definitely lend itself to a romance. So I thought it was
It
super
does.
realistic.
I
um,
agree. Very
and then
good.
yeah, just in terms of like other romance that I've read, I have read a lot of YA romance in my time as well, and I liked this one a lot. Like you were saying, it felt very realistic. It was to people like just kind of like growing up and learning what that means and like learning what feelings of love feel like. He very
Mhm.
much has always been in love with her, which yeah, I love that so much. It's so cute. And she is it gives her this chance to it gives Addie this chance to like let go and do something for herself, which she doesn't do a lot in the book.
Correct. Which I like. Yeah.
Yeah.
To compare a YA romance that to me feels very similar to this in a slightly different context, but still kind of a high stakes context, is this is probably my favorite YA romance, is Peeta Mellark and Katniss Everdeen in the Hunger Games. It's very much
Yeah.
like high stakes situation. He's been obsessed with her. He's also the richer of the two of them,
He
has the
is,
more
yeah.
money and things. And he's very much like, you're it. Don't know what to tell you. Like he gives her the freedom not to. Seth is a little less into letting her do her thing.
Yeah,
Which I think is more realistic. I think PETA might be a little bit unrealistic for a teenage.
he might
He's
be.
a little more mature than I think he should be. Not that I love him. He's one of my favorite like male leads. I would say lead. But I think their relationship is very similar in how it functions
Mhm.
to Seth and Abby.
I love that. That's a great comparison, especially with like the life or death, you know. And
Yeah,
like in a very real way, things are life or death in this book. Obviously,
yeah.
they are in the Hunger Games, but also in this book.
It's a different feeling. Like it's. I mean, what's the difference between dystopian and murder mystery kind of thing? So murder mystery still has that like imminent death, but like life is still more normal.
Yeah.
They're not thrown in an arena to kill other people, so it's slightly different stakes, but still very much like we could die.
Yeah,
It's
still
definitely in
very
that
high
realm.
stakes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Absentee parent checklist. Check, 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 check.
literally all of them,
Literally all of them.
every single one.
Every single parent is not there. Addie and Fiona's mother literally is either dead or just gone.
Correct. Just not even around.
Not even around. We've talked a little bit about the dad. Bless him. He's trying his best. He is not.
He
He makes Charlie Swan look like a decent parent.
That's what I was about to say. Like he's like Charlie Swan, but like not, but like kind of close. I think he's Charlie Swan in the movies, maybe not in the books, because like Charlie Swan in the movies really is not there much
Correct.
at all, except for
Yeah,
like the final movie. Um,
that's true. Charlie Swan in the books is more hands-on than in the movies. He just,
yeah,
I mean, this man has zero follow through. He's like, "Hey, don't go running alone." And she's like, "Yeah, sure." And then immediately goes running alone in the woods. This is
near where
written
her sister
in
was murdered.
right where her sister was murdered. This is
Yeah,
written in the time of smartphones. That man could track her. That man could track her to make sure she's safe. My parents, we've talked about this. There is not any possibility that my parents wouldn't be tracking me constantly if I was in this situation. There is no
when
way.
I was no, yeah, when I was like her age, my parents did. Once I was like off to college, that
Yeah.
didn't happen anymore. But no, I had like a tracker. My parents knew
Mhm.
what which I think was a good thing, especially now knowing what the internet. I feel like we were coming up when the internet was like
It
not
was
newer, but kind of
it was
like
newer. Well, I was
social
born in
media
the
was new.
90s, so it was pretty new.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking like when we were old enough. I mean, I was also born in the 90s. Like
Yeah.
when we were old enough to really like engage, like social media was very new and like
It was
how.
super new. Yeah.
And so like my parents knew what I was looking at, when I was looking at, how long I was looking at it. Like they knew where I was at all times. I've mentioned this before. I am from a very, very small town, and my family is multiracial and ethnic. So my family stuck out like a sore thumb because it was a, well, technically majority native town. But like, anywho, we stuck out. So even if I did not know them, they knew who I was and would definitely
Mhm.
tell my parents if I did anything that I was not normally or not supposed to be doing very quickly. So yeah, no, my
Yeah.
parents would know everything.
Yeah. So this man, he does not know where his children are. He doesn't know where Davy is either. Both of his remaining children, just like running around doing whatever they want. And he just doesn't he just can't it's not even like he doesn't care because he does tell them. He just there's zero follow through
Yeah.
there. Zero.
It almost feels like he has had two really major heartbreaks and like cannot, it's like he almost doesn't want to get attached because if he has another one, he's not going to be able to function. And so this is
Yeah.
his way of just kind of cutting it off and being like, I love you. I can only love you this much. I can only handle this much because
Yeah.
if anything else happens, I can't do it anymore.
Actually, and I think this is a really good time to bring up that like really heartbreaking point for him. The one time that he is present, we find out that he actually thinks that Addie killed her sister.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the reason he's a little distant because he doesn't
Yeah.
want to. Yeah, that part, like I actually cried at a part. That was really the only part of this book that I cried in because it broke Abby. It really did.
Hmm.
Like she just like I couldn't handle it if my parents thought it was a murderer, especially not of my
No.
own sister.
Yeah.
Like that's but he really
He really
I
thought
see
that.
why he thought it. She is a very good suspect
She is a good
in this
suspect.
book.
We just know that she's not it because we are from her point of view. Like, that is the only
Correct.
reason that we know it wasn't her.
Correct. I don't know if does he think she killed her sister? He definitely thinks he killed Thatcher. Does he think she
Sh
killed her sister as well?
He's like not sure, but he definitely thinks that
That's
she
fair.
killed Thatcher. So,
No, that's very fair. I think
yeah.
everyone thinks she killed Thatcher outside of Seth, who was with
Outside of
her.
Seth, who was with her, yep.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Um,
good job, Dad.
bless him. Yeah, no, he's not great. The Montgomerys are almost worse. We can't get into all the details as to why they're worse. They're definitely worse.
They are definitely worse. They are just your classic rich absentee parents. Um they throw money at the problem when they think that
Hmm.
Addie is a suspect and she's hurting Seth, and they think that Seth might also be a murderer. Like they're like, "Hey, just don't talk to her. We're lawyered up. Just don't talk to her. Just stop talking to her." That's it. No follow through. Seth gets her another phone to
Nope.
talk to her. Seth is constantly following her around. His parents are like, "Don't talk to her. Okay, I'm gonna go somewhere else now. Have fun."
I'm gonna go immediately talk to her. This book is a lot of, hey, don't do that. Yeah, no, I'm gonna do that anyway.
Yeah,
That is this book.
it
It's a
is.
lot of
That is
that.
this book.
Yeah,
Okay, I would never,
all of it.
all of
Literally all
it,
of this book.
go running, period.
I,
I would never.
yeah, would never, especially in high school, could not catch me running. I run probably more now than in high school, and I don't run. So,
Yeah.
yeah, could not catch me running. Could not catch
Go
me just going away.
wandering in the woods alone. Yeah.
No, could never.
I did I I did wander around in the woods alone behind my house, but never during the nighttime. Never.
That is fair. I did not have woods behind my house, but I did live in a very, I think, part of some context again from where I was. So I lived near a really big lake.
Hmm.
And this lake was known, it was big enough and rural enough that you could easily disappear and you would never find them. There were literal whole billboards on the highway of people that had gone missing that like more than likely were probably somewhere
In the
in a
lake.
secluded part of the lake.
Whew.
Correct. Yes. So the concept of like do it like there was literally a mom when I was living there that like dropped off her kid at the school, got into a truck and was never seen from again. Like it was like not a normal thing. Like she very much just disappeared. I'm sure they found something by now, but at the time, by the time that it was around the time they were leaving.
Wild.
But like it was incredibly common, and we were also near a lot of major highways, so it
Hmm.
was just really there was a lot of reasons why I would not have. I am terrified of the world,
No, that makes
and
sense.
don't like doing things alone.
No, that makes
So
sense. I think that this is a good time to bring up the small town thing. So your small
yes,
town was known for its murder lake. So Mayapack, New
correct.
York, up in the Catskill Mountains, I think was probably similar to Beers End, bigger than Beers End, didn't have quite the class division there, but it's a small
Hmm.
town. My parents still live there. Nothing ever happens there. So nothing ever happens there. And I
Yeah.
think that in a small town, in a lot of these stories about small towns, both real and fake, people are like, nothing ever happens here. It was an accident. There's no murderers running around our small town. Like, we know each other. We say hi to each other in the grocery store. You can't step anywhere in this town without running into someone that you know. None of us are murderers. It couldn't happen here.
Well, because you have to keep living there. So why would
Yeah.
you murder someone when you have to keep living there? Yeah.
Right. So, like, I think that that probably lends itself a lot to a lot of the things that Addie gets into. Um, Things that I would never do, though. Again, running around alone at nighttime in the place that someone was murdered. Two people were murdered. No,
Correct.
thank you.
I don't think I would have also been as like as a teenager. If a murder happened when I was in college, obsessed. I was really into true crime in college. In
Hmm.
high school, if it was a family member, maybe I'd be more like Addie, but I really wasn't Addie in high
Yeah.
school. I wasn't as driven or as like
Right.
singularly
Single-minded.
focused.
Same. I don't know
Yeah.
if I would investigate the murder. I
Mm-mm.
don't think I have that in me. I
I
don't
think
know
like
though, because I
now,
love murder mysteries.
well, so if I would have, I was also, I think we've talked about this. I was obsessed with Nancy Drew as a
Hmm.
kid. So, but like those were not like, they were like a watch went missing or a clock has been stolen. They weren't as much murder mystery, they were more mystery. So like something like that I might have been more into. I think the murder part when I was in high school, either honestly I might not have known about it, depending. people didn't tell me things. I maybe would have known it happened, but I would have just heard like, oh, something, an accident. I would have been like, cool. But if it was a direct family member, I don't know. That's
Yeah,
harder to gauge, I guess.
it is. It is harder to
Um,
gauge. Interesting. Um, we have just one more segment to talk about. Murder
we do.
suspects.
A we've dabbled in this
E
a little bit, but
Yes. Okay, so who did you, other than Seth, because I also suspected him, he's just always
yeah.
there, conveniently there.
There's one scene, and I think it's when she's coming out of Fiona's ballet studio, and we learn some kind of like bigger news about
Yeah.
Fiona at this, right? Like we learned like a big like, oh, it kind of reveals a lot more about her as a character. Steph literally, she's like literally like, oh man, my bike got or something happened with her bike,
Her bike
and
got
Seth
stolen,
just
like the wheel got
appears.
stolen or something, and he's just there. Yeah.
Yeah, something happened. Yeah, and Seth is just there, and I'm like, I couldn't decide if he was the murderer or if it was going to turn into those like he's not the murderer, but he might kill you because he's obsessed with you. Like he may not have did that murder, but he might do yours if you don't decide you like him.
Right, right. So
Yeah,
I think
that
it's
was the vibe.
important to note also, like, we don't know if he was involved in the murders, right? But he also, we
Correct.
do know
Yeah,
that he did not murder them because him and Fiona, or him and Addie were together when both of the murders happened.
but but with the Thatcher one in particular, she loses track of him for a
She
little bit. So they're running in the
does.
woods. She loses track of him. This is why I thought it was suspicious. I think Thatcher killed Fiona. Seth knew, helped cover it up, and then Thatcher was gonna blab. Seth panicked, running.
Hmm.
Like I think Thatcher was like screaming into the void because he's grieving, right?
Yeah.
Screaming into the void. Seth are running. Knows he's faster than Addie. Just absolutely shoves him down before Addie
It
gets it.
could be. It could be. There's like uh, maybe like 50, 10 to 15 seconds where she doesn't know where Seth is.
You can push someone so easy, and also
Yeah.
Thatcher was a waif of a boy. He was not a big man. He was
Yeah,
very
and
very easy to shove.
Seth is pretty muscular, so
Yeah, he's
yeah.
sturdy. It's a sturdy stock.
I think Seth is like a really, really, really good suspect. His motivations
Hmm.
are all super complex, but they're definitely there. The logic behind it is there. Um,
Hmm.
what better way to control a situation like this than to become an investigator in
Yes, it is incredibly common. I don't know how much true crime stuff you ever got into, but I was
a
very
lot?
obsessively into true crime
Yes.
for a while. Yeah, that like it was so common. It's part of the reason they don't let non-investigative people be involved with investigations as much anymore is because people who committed the murders, one, because they like to relive their crimes often.
Hmm.
So that was a way for them to relive it, but two, so they wouldn't get caught, would steer them like
Yeah,
away
steer them in the wrong
from them.
direction.
Yeah,
Yep. I think that Jeremy is a really good suspect too.
I
And here's
agree.
why. So we haven't talked a whole lot about this, but Addie was with Jeremy, you know, and she and
Hmm.
Seth had been sort of like hooking up a little bit. Like they'd definitely been
Hmm.
kissing and stuff. They definitely yeah, so, like, they were kind of involved, so she was cheating on Jeremy, and she
Oh,
didn't
great.
tell him why, but she broke up with him, and the night that, Fiona died was the night that she broke up with Jeremy and then proceeded to sleep with Seth.
Yeah.
And we don't know if Jeremy saw them. Jeremy definitely knew something was up, and so he definitely could have thought that Fiona was Addie and just absolutely pushed her. Just
In
like, "How
like a
dare you break
rage
up with me
state.
and cheat on me," sort of thing. Yeah.
Correct. Yes. And he's not necessarily a violent person, but he does have these like passion like explosions out of
He
him, I
does.
think. He's got a lot of like emotional roller coastery,
He
I would
does.
state.
Yeah. And then the reason that he would kill Thatcher is Thatcher found out that he killed Fiona.
Yeah, like Thatcher, most of the reasons for people to kill Thatcher is he knew. Either
Yeah.
he killed her or he knew. He either had guilt and he jumped, or he knew or something and was shoved off. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
We haven't really talked about it a whole lot, but there is a lot of doubt cast upon the Montgomery family patriarchs, the dads.
there is. Correct. They're very shady.
Yeah, they're very shady, and there's this ongoing undercurrent of like you didn't know Fiona as well as you thought you did. And there's also this undercurrent of, well, like mother, like daughter, like your mom slept around, while so did Fiona. And so there's all of this
Hmm.
stuff that you find out where, like, was Fiona sleeping with one of the dads for money? Like, what was
Yeah,
she doing? And then, like, did one of them kill her?
yeah, to cover
Because,
up their crime.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then like so like there's doubt cast upon like Thatcher's dad because he might have been sleeping with her, but then there's also doubt cast upon Seth's dad because maybe Seth's
Hmm.
dad was like, well, Thatcher knows, so he kills Thatcher.
Yeah.
There's all of this hey, there's all yeah, there's a lot of doubt that's being cast. Hello, Jeannie. Hi. Oh my God, everyone want to see my new puppy? Let's get her
The
up.
puppy.
Say hi,
There
Jeannie.
she is. Hi, Miss Jeannie. Oh.
Oh, you're so cute. She probably has to go out. Okay, there you go. Yeah, yeah. Go get him.
Basically, the Montgomerys are shady.
Super
Basically,
shady. Yeah. Also,
that's
like
kind of the gist.
immediately lawyering up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They also either they did it or they're suspicious that someone in their family did it. They were immediately like, no, we're not. High profile lawyer. Throwing it
Yeah.
up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have anyone else who, when doubt was cast upon them, where you were like, oh yeah, it could be?
I thought it could have maybe been Jen and Jeremy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Jen had the gumption to do it herself,
Mm-hmm.
but they like kind of oddly team up kind of through this process a little bit. And so I thought it might have been both of them.
They do.
I
Do
thought
you
it
want
was
to
like a
dig
two-person
deeper
thing.
into that? I always thought it was a two-person thing too because
Yeah,
it just seemed so well thought out.
correct. It seemed very planned and plotted
Yeah. And like the
and like
Thatcher one,
particular.
not as well planned out, but still
Yeah,
executed very well.
correct. Very much did not get caught
Yeah.
kind of vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So Jen and Jeremy. So basically we find out, and I don't think that this is spoilery in
not
the main
necessarily, no.
context of things. We find out that Jeremy tried to date Jen first, and Jen had said no. And then,
Yeah, because she didn't want to break up their friendship, which is
yeah,
why she got so upset with
yeah,
Addie
with
when Addie
Addie.
said yes.
But guess who didn't tell Addie? Anyone. No
Jen,
one told her. Yeah. Also, Jen. Yeah, Jen didn't tell her that this happened. So,
yeah,
like, for her to then get so mad and be such an awful friend in
yeah,
response, super annoying. Also
hate
makes
it.
me think that she has the rage to murder someone. So,
They're definitely, she's very, both her and Jeremy seem very impulsive,
yes. Joel just goes, I don't think
incredibly
Jeannie's that
impulsive.
bad. To the rage to murder someone. That was funny.
So yeah, I just think there's very much like that teenage, this just feels like a crime of passion.
Yeah,
Like,
it does.
it's thought out, but at the same time,
Oh,
almost not. It's like quick.
but I think that that's a good moment to maybe wrap this up then. Because we
Yes,
do
yeah. No, I
talk a
don't have anything
lot
else.
about this with MK.
Okay. Yeah,
Oh. Um, so Girls Who Burn, incredible book. The writing is like gorgeous. It's very atmospheric. It's very it does a really good job.
it does. You feel like you're there in a way.
Yeah. And we think that you should definitely go and read it and then listen to our episode and enjoy our interview with MK Pagano. Ow, ow. All right, everyone. Um, Thanks for listening,
Yeah, thanks, y'all.
and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.